ago. News that will impact how this team plays defense moving forward. And about an hour ago, there was some Phillies news we have to discuss as well. All that and more here on Game Night. Text board is open 609-403-0973. Also, you can DM the show through the 973 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. So let's go over the news items quickly here before we dig deeper into Sixers and Celtics. First of all, the Eagles news that came out a couple hours ago. Information over at 973ESPN.com. The Kobe Dean, his season could very well be over. He is reportedly, according to Mike Garafolo of the NFL Network, has a Liz Frank strain. Now, we don't know yet if he needs surgery, but if he needs surgery, his season is pretty much over. He is not coming back anytime this calendar year, and certainly not anytime soon. I mean, those injuries usually take a year to recover for many guys. So it looks like that he's going to at least be out for a few weeks. So what does that mean for the Eagles? Well, you are going against some of the better offenses in the entire league the next few weeks. You're not just playing the Chiefs. You're playing the Chiefs coming off a bye. We know how good Andy Reid is off the bye week. Then you got to take on the Bills and the 49ers. And for as limited as the Bills' success has been this year, it doesn't change the fact that the Bills are still top 10 in the NFL in points and total yards. So they're still a dangerous team to be dealt with. Then you got the 49ers. We know how dangerous they are. And they're going to be getting Deebo Samuel back soon. If not this week, it'll definitely be next week. And then, of course, you got the Cowboys again. And we know what the Cowboys are capable of. They did still score 23 points. And it wasn't for them shooting themselves in the foot multiple times. Maybe they themselves have more points in that game. So I think it's very fair to look forward to say, what does no Kobe Dean mean for the Eagles defense? Well, what it means is you still have Cunningham and Morrow out there. And we know that they are both more than capable of keep getting the job done because they've done it all year. John McMullen brought up earlier today on the Sports Bash with Mike Gill that Nicholas Morrow is one of the higher rated linebackers from Pro Football Focus. And Zach Cunningham, as Jeff Mosher said earlier on the Sports Bash, very well may be the Eagles' best linebacker all season, according to other scouts who scout the Eagles. So I think it's a real big deal that you are going to be without a guy he wasn't your primary guy, but he certainly was in the mix as one of your guys on defense. And now without him, it's just another person, another athlete, another depth piece that you're going to be without. So, of course, the Eagles have another week and a half to figure out what they're going to do without Nakobe Dean for at least 4 weeks. He will be put on the injured reserve. And if he needs surgery, he's done for the year. Now, the Phillies news is even more big picture because Dave Dombrowski at the owners' meetings the GM meetings in Arizona told reporters that Bryce Harper is going to be staying at first base. And considering the Phillies already did not extend the qualifying offer to Rhys Hoskins, it already looked like that the separation may be coming. And now with Harper being announced as the main first baseman moving forward, Hoskins has no place on this team, basically. You already have a DH in Kyle Schwarber, and you have a first baseman, Bryce Harper, so there's really nowhere for Rhys Hoskins to play. And don't tell me he's going to play the outfield, because realistically, Schwarber's a better defensive player than Hoskins is. So Hoskins' time is done in Philadelphia. And it generates a lot of mixed feelings because Reese Hoskins, when he came up, was the guy that a lot of people pointed to as the first moment that you felt like the Phillies could maybe turn things around and stop being a miserable franchise. Because when he had that 2018 season, with the 34 home runs, I believe it was 95 or 96 RBI, whatever the number was, that was like, oh, okay, we got a power hitter here. We got a guy here. And then remember, it was the very next year you signed Bryce Harper. So Hoskins was part of that, that initial, we're starting to turn the page where you traded for JT Realmuto. You signed Bryce Harper in the offseason. And Hoskins was a part of that changing of the tide because he was a centerpiece of your offense. And for the frustrations that people like myself had with his defense, you can't overlook the fact that the guy had 30 or more home runs 2 different times, and the other 3 seasons in between, one was the COVID year, so nobody had good stats that year, and the other 2 years, he had 20, 28, 29 home runs, and I believe it was 26 or 27 home runs. So you're talking about a guy who went out there, he had almost 150 home runs in his Phillies career. So he had a major impact on this franchise. But as I said, simultaneously to his impact with the bat, there was the impact with the glove. So you're going to miss him, the person, but you're not going to miss him, the defensive player, because you absolutely need to stay athletic and able defensively. Now, I know some of you are thinking, if Bryce Harper's staying at first, can you trade for Mike Trout? And my reaction to that is anything is possible. I will never dismiss Dave Dombrowski making a big deal. Dombrowski's the kind of guy who makes big trades all the time, everywhere he's been, from the Marlins to the Tigers to the Red Sox and now the Phillies. He's not afraid of the big deal. He never has been, especially in the offseason. The offseason is when he's made some of his more iconic moves. Remember, it was the offseason with the Tigers that he brought in Prince Fielder, and that helped propel them back to a World Series. It was the offseason when he rebuilt that 97 Marlins team that ended up going to the World Series and winning it. It was in the offseason when he went out and traded for different guys with the Red Sox and the Tigers, and they also brought in JD Martinez. So Dave Dombrowski is not afraid of going out to get Mike Trout. The question is, do you have the ammunition? That's really what the question is. And then, of course, Sixers basketball tonight on 97.3 ESPN. Sixers versus Celtics. And for me, I'm most looking forward to seeing tonight, how do the Sixers deal with a Boston team that is very different than the team that you lost to last year? Now you've added Porzingis. Now you've added Drew Holiday. You've added these players who change the way that team looks. Remember, no more Marcus Smart on this team. That's a huge part of this conversation. For years, the Celtics, we all viewed them with guys like Smart and Williams as this tough, in-your-face defensive team. That's who they were in the past. And Marcus Smart and, last year, Al Horford, look what he did. And, the Williams, Grant and Robert Williams. Well, both Williams are gone. Marcus Smart is gone. I mean, Drew Holiday is here. But now you also got, that Porzingis guy. So the lineup is completely different now. The look of this team is different. So how do the Sixers deal with that? Because the Sixers are mostly the same team that they were last year. Minus Harden and PJ Tucker, Embiid is still here. Maxey is still here. It's kind of like the Celtics. Celtics have Tatum and Brown still, but they added Porzingis. Now, the Sixers kind of added with a subtracting by moving on from Harden, gives an opportunity to play Maxey more, give him more opportunities. But I'm very curious to see, what does Philadelphia do with this talented, deep Boston team on the starting lineup? Their bench isn't the greatest in the world, but they got a great starting lineup. Tatum, Holiday, Brown, Porzingis. That's a big four if I've ever heard of them. But after you get past those four guys, they're the drop-off. I like Derek White, the player, but don't try to tell me he's some great guard. He's a very good player on a very good team. If you asked him to be the starter in a place like Charlotte, he's not putting up the same production consistently. Al Horford's another year older. I believe he's 37, turning 38. And then Peyton Pritchard's coming off the bench. They don't really have a ton of other guys. So is Philadelphia a team that can use their depth, use their plethora of bodies to go out there and slow the Celtics down a little bit? Robert Covington, Nicholas Batum, throwing in there, Kelly Oubre. You got all these guys on the wing. Can all those guys on the wing make an impact for this team in this game? I'm very curious to see what happens. And I'm not going to sit here and make any proclamations for or against the Sixers as a result of this game. But I'm very curious to see, what does it look like? How does this play out? These are questions that we all have to ask heading into the game, 7 o'clock tonight on 97.3 ESPN. George on the text board chimes in at 609-403-0973. George, number points, says, "Hey, Josh, I want to get your thought on what made the Sixers a good team this year. Is it the emergence of Maxey, or the continued dominance of Embiid, or the coaching of Nick Nurse, or the loss of Harden?" That's from George in Summers Point. George, I think it's a little bit of all the above. Because no Harden opened the door for more Maxey. And of course, you're never going to win anything without Embiid. You can't, the Sixers as currently constructed will never win anything unless Embiid is making a major impact on each and every game. I do think that Nick Nurse is a winning head coach. And for as much as a guy like Daryl Morey wants to stay away from the Nurse versus Doc Rivers conversation, the reality is I think Nick Nurse is getting more out of this team than Doc Rivers would have. Not because Doc Rivers is a bad coach, but I think Nick Nurse is uniquely built for this team to coach it the way he is. We'll get more of your text a little bit later in the hour. Dan and EHT, I see you chiming in at 609-403-0973. Check on the DMs into 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. But coming up next, the Weinberg Wednesday, Dave Weinberg joins me on the other side, our 97.3 ESPN Extra Points columnist, here with me on Josh Hennig on GameNight on 97.3 ESPN.
It's Sixers basketball tonight on 97.3 ESPN with the voice of the 76ers, Tom McGinnis, calling all the exciting play-by-play action.
Oh, baby, Embiid rocks the rim. Throws it down. Embiid with a slam. He's got 43.
The Sixers host the Celtics tonight. Coverage begins at 7 p.m. Philadelphia 76ers basketball on your radio home of the Sixers in South Jersey. 97.3 ESPN.
Save thousands at Matt Blatt Kia. Get out of your old trade today, even if you owe thousands more than it's worth. Go to mattblattkianj.com for more details. That's mattblattkianj.com.
It's gotta be a
Matt Blatt Kia.
Get big savings and big rewards during Pro-Vember at Lowe's. Right now, MVP's members earn 3 times the bonus points on DeWalt products and save $200 on a DeWalt sliding compound miter saw. Plus, earn 3 times the bonus points on Little Giant products and save $70 on a Little Giant multi-position 14-foot ladder. Lowe's knows savings. Lowe's knows pros. While supplies last, selection varies by location. Bonus points calculated before taxes and fees after applicable discounts, if any. Valid through 11/22.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack.
but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Attention, New Jersey families. If you're an expecting mother or have a precious new little one, Nurture New Jersey is here to support you every step of the way. With locations in each of the 21 counties, Connecting NJ links you with top-notch perinatal care, parenting support, and a network of services in your local community. Get access to resources like WIC, lactation support, doulas, food assistance, and more. To find a Connecting NJ organization near you, visit nj.gov/connectingnj.
This week at Target, you'll find different early Black Friday deals. Get fun deals on the latest tech, toys, and video games, plus smart deals on small appliances, floor care, and so much more. At Target, you'll discover different early Black Friday deals each week. And get what you need for the holidays fast with free drive-up or score free shipping when you spend $35 or use your red card at Target.com. Get low prices and early Black Friday deals only at Target. Exclusions apply.
Let's head out. The theater's about to close.
Wait, what does that sign say?
Warning, watch your step?
No, next to it.
If you are 60 or older, you may be at increased risk of serious consequences from RSV, respiratory syncytial virus, compared to adults younger than 60. I didn't know that.
Not all dangers come with warning labels. Talk to your pharmacist or doctor about getting vaccinated against RSV today. RSV vaccines, including Pfizer's, are available. Learn more at bewareofrsv.com. Brought to you by Pfizer.
Pro. Progressive Fence and Rail.
Hey, Mike Gill here. Wishing for an outdoor upgrade that will make the neighbors jealous? My friends at Progressive Fence and Railing are your secret weapon. Whether it's a durable fence or railing, a stylish deck, a beautiful awning, or a serene gazebo, they've got the magic touch. Experience top-notch quality, impeccable craftsmanship, and finance options that fit your budget. Grab your free estimate today.
Pro. ProgressiveFenceandRail.com.
Save on stuff you really need and stuff you bought for fun. Stuff you always really wanted this holiday at Amazon. Stuff that is discounted if you're naughty or you're nice. Stuff to buy your grandma who drinks her Chardonnay with ice. Stuff to make you big and strong. Stuff we can't name in this song. Stuff for lawns and decking halls. Save big on stuff at Amazon. Stop.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
What's holding you back from learning the language you've always wanted to know?
Too hard.
Takes too long.
Not with Babbel. Babbel's lessons take just 15 minutes a day.
15 minutes isn't long.
Nope. And they're fun. So you don't realize you're learning a language, but you are. In 3 weeks, you're able to start having conversations. And Babbel's lessons are built around real life.
And with Babbel, it isn't hard.
It's perfect.
Now try Babbel free. Just go to Babbel.com. That's Babbel.com.
Something good to know from First Bank of Sea Isle City. We have all of today's innovative banking products just like the big banks, but we offer something they can't. A personal community focus. Let's get you started with Bill Pay. You save time when you pay your bills online. It's fast, easy, and convenient. First Bank of Sea Isle City, a community bank that delivers more for you every day. Personal service, today's technology, from the people who truly care. Learn more at firstbankseaisle.com.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
You're listening to Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
We'll check back in on the text board in just a bit, 609-403-0973. That's how you join the conversation on the show. Also, your DMs into the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle. Danny HC, I see you. We will get to you a little bit later in the hour, but right now it's time for a Weinberg Wednesday. Dave Weinberg is back, our extra point columnist over at 97.3 ESPN.com. Dave, welcome back. Obviously, the Eagles are on a bye week, and of course, bye week people usually have a lot of opinions. So how are you doing on the Eagles bye week?
Oh, as far as the Eagles or me personally, I'm doing great.
How about that?
So I'm doing great. My grandsons are back home from vacation in Florida, so we had a good time today. And as far as the Eagles, I guess they're doing the same feeling as I am. I mean, 8-1, top record in the league. I mean, you can't argue with that, right?
Well, you shouldn't, but I mean, you know how people are. People always
Oh,
try
yeah.
to nitpick a team, and being 8-1 doesn't always mean you're the best team, right?
True,
So,
very true. Yep. But aren't
like
you are what your record says you are, right? No.
well, that's what Bill Parcells said. But I mean, how many times have we seen teams go out to big starts of the season? Like,
yeah.
I mean, now what's more significant to me, Dave, is the fact that the Eagles are the first team to start a season 8-1 after losing the Super Bowl since the Tennessee Titans in 2000. To
Wow,
me,
how about
that's
that?
more significant because it shows that this organization didn't just kind of, throw their hands in the air after losing the biggest game of the year.
Yeah. I mean, everybody talks about the Super Bowl hangover, and I think it is a real thing. And the Eagles seem to have avoided it to this point. The upcoming schedule is going to tell a lot about how good they really are. I think, but they beat the teams they're supposed to beat. They lost to the Jets, which they sure weren't supposed to lose to, but they're off to a good start. I mean, you can't get better than that. I mean, it could be 9-0, but that's 8-1's not bad.
Now, of course, one of the news items that came out of the Dallas win, which everyone was happy for, obviously, was Dallas Goedert. He has a fractured forearm.
Right.
Dave, what's interesting is that last year, without Goddard, they scored 33 points a game, and with him, they scored 27 points a game. So, is there maybe a possibility that this team, maybe that they don't miss him, because obviously one of the better tight ends in the league, but that they are equipped to deal with life without him?
I think they are actually. I mean, I think Julio Jones was brought in to maybe for this purpose to maybe give them an extra option as in addition to AJ Brown and Devontae Smith in the passing game. Goddard's a pretty reliable receiver and a pretty productive receiver, but I think at least for the short term, I think Julio Jones might be able to just not play tight end obviously, but to add another option for Jalen Hurts in the passing game.
I mean, personally, I would like to see a formation with Julio Jones and A.J. Brown on the outside and kick Devonta Smith in the slot for a couple plays.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Just to mix it up, you want to give the defense a different look, right? Like, you got to show them something they haven't seen before. And maybe that's the key. Dave, you covered Andy Reid for years. The guy is a savant coming out of bye weeks.
Yeah,
you're playing the Chiefs coming out of their bye week as you're coming out of your bye week.
Yeah,
I mean, if there's ever a time to show something different, right? Isn't this the game to show something different?
Yeah, you have to give Andy Reid and company something they haven't seen before, at least in a while. And that definitely makes a lot of sense. And you're right about the Reid and the Eagles and Chiefs. I mean, they're virtually unbeatable after byes. So the Eagles really have their work cut out for them next week.
Dave, you covered the Eagles for many years when Andy was there. Why is Andy so good out of the bye week?
That's a good question. I guess different teams have different philosophies about how to treat a bye. I mean, Andy was one who would give the players off for a little while, get them away from football, get them to recharge their batteries a little bit. Meanwhile, the coaches, I guess, would stay and scheme, self-scout is the popular term that they like to say. And I really don't know why it is. I guess I mean, every coach prepares, you would think, and maybe he takes it to another level. I don't know, but but for whatever reason, I don't quite know what the reason is. Maybe they're well rested. Maybe they're just refreshed a little bit more than other teams. But there's no getting around it. Whatever he's doing and what he's done is working.
Absolutely. Dave Weinberg joining us for a Weinberg Wednesday here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN at Dave Weinberg 19 on the Twitter X platform. Dave, obviously the news that came out today concerning injuries also is disheartening, not because the Eagles without him are going to stink, but because there was so much promise and hope for Nakobe Dean, and now that he has a Liz Frank strain, he's going to miss at least 4 weeks. He's going to go back on the injured reserve. But
Right.
then if he has to have surgery, his season is done. And it's just a letdown because there was so much hope for this guy. I mean, this guy was considered the best linebacker in college in 2021, and he hasn't been able to get on the field the last 2 years with the Eagles.
Yeah, it's such a tough break for the kid. I mean, these injuries the last couple of years, basically, and yeah, I mean, the Eagles will be fine with Cunningham and Morrow at the linebacker spot. But yeah, you really wanted to see Dean kind of blossom this year. This was supposed to be there. He would take off and take over. With TJ Edwards gone, he was supposed to step in and be that linebacker that everybody thought he could be, and now is yet another setback. I guess it's his second stint on the IR this year, right? I mean,
Yes.
he opened the season on it. So, yeah, I mean, you can't fault the kid. I mean, but some guys are just injury prone. Hopefully, that's not the case with him. Maybe this is just a quirky thing that happened. I'm hoping he gets back eventually because he does have a lot of talent.
It's interesting because usually it's basketball players who have this injury, and when they had the surgery, they usually come back, Dave, the same, or better than they were before, but that's basketball. That's a completely different way of moving your body than football. So I'm just wondering what is that recovery like for a guy who his job isn't jumping up and down. His job is basically stop and go.
Yeah, it's funny you should say this because nobody ever knew what a Liz Frank sprain was. We never even heard of it until Rick Barcrawler was the trainer of the Eagles at the time when Andy Reid was here. And I can't remember what year it was. I want to say early 2000s. And the Eagles had I wish I could remember the player who had the injury, but he came and Rick Burkhalter came out on the stage and tried to explain that it was it used to be an injury suffered by equestrians a lot for some reason. I guess their foot in the horse stirrup or something. I don't know what caused it, but it was very prevalent then. But nobody ever knew what it was, and he did a great job of explaining it in detail. And
2005, Brian Westbrook.
There you go. Well, thank you. Good job by you.
Google's a beautiful thing. So
there you go. And yeah, I mean, that's the first time anybody really heard of it in the NFL. And since then, when everybody has this kind of injury, everybody knows exactly what it is. And yeah, I don't know it doesn't seem like people come back quite as quick in football from this. Like you said, maybe it's a stop and go kind of thing. I don't think it's a contact injury, more of a like you said, cut and stress on the foot kind of deal. So it'll be interesting to see how he comes back from it. I hope he does.
Yeah, he will. I mean, as you said though, Cunningham and Morrow have played well. So
yeah,
it's
they outplayed him, quite frankly. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, it's not like in the literal sense you're missing him, but you're missing the depth piece, the guy who was part of the rotation, because he was getting playing time, even though he wasn't the number one guy. So, now you're just hoping that nothing happens to Cunningham or Morrow.
Yeah. I mean, the Eagles have done a great job, and especially this year, I guess, of developing young players. Again, filling in the gaps. I read a piece by Ed Kratz, who's SI.com about how they've done a great job of incorporating the rookies into the lineup this year, and Dean's not a rookie, obviously, but I mean, he's one of those guys, one of those young guys that you kind of it's pretty impressive that the Eagles have been able to maintain this success and keep developing guys at the same time. And he's one of those guys you really wanted to look forward to seeing.
Dave, the other news that came out today in Philadelphia sports, obviously not Eagles related, but Phillies related, because Dave Dombrowski at the GM meetings told reporters that Bryce Harper is going to be the first baseman moving forward. Of course, it comes 2 days after the Phillies kind of gave you the idea already, because Rhys Hoskins never received the qualifying offer.
Right.
So the Rhys Hoskins era is done in Philadelphia.
Yeah, it's not unexpected. I'm just a little disappointed because I thought he was a pretty good player. I know some people got down on his fielding and stuff, but he was one of those guys that you like to have in the clubhouse and a really clutch hitter, I thought. And I guess, it's kind of weird to say, but I don't know if there was room for Harper back in the outfield. I imagine they consulted with Bryce on this, right? They said, "Do you want to go back in the outfield or not?" And
Right. Well, I mean,
Obviously, he
Dombrowski.
said first base, I guess. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Well, Dombrowski said the last press conference that he was going to talk to Bryce after the World Series. And now that we're after the World Series and now that they've talked, it's just a weird thing because, like, you got to feel bad for Bryce because, like, Bryce knows if I say first base, they're not bringing back Hoskins. But,
right.
If I say outfield, they're going to ask me how my arm is. Like, he was in a no-win situation.
Yeah,
so, it almost feels like the Phillies should have just never left it up to him. I feel like the Phillies could have maybe protected him a little bit more from,
from himself.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, Harper's not a bad dude. Like, do you think Harper's I'm going to take Rhys Hoskins' job? No, he's just trying to win ball games.
Oh, yeah. No, he's not that kind of guy at all. I mean, some of the stuff kind of irks you, a little bit here and there. But yeah, he's a good guy and very competitive, great guy, great teammate. I'm sure that's not the reason behind it, but it does I guess it kind of prolongs Bryce's career a little bit playing first base. I'm not knowing him, but thinking that the competitor that he is, I think he might want to go back to the outfield at some point. But for now, I think this is probably the right move for him and for the team, maybe. Gives Rhys a fresh start somewhere else. So.
Yeah, and he'll probably go to one of those teams that just needs a DH. I mean, I know Nelson Cruz just retired, so there's always a need for a power. I mean, Hoskins has almost 150 home runs in his career.
Oh, yeah, he's a good hitter, yep.
Yeah, so absolutely. I mean, he'll probably go somewhere like, I meant this a little tongue-in-cheek, Dave, but I wouldn't be surprised if he goes to Tampa and enjoys Zach Eflin down there.
Oh, that'd be kind of cool, yeah. That's not impossible.
Yeah, I mean, Tampa's a team they underachieved this past year, so why not throw him in there?
There you go. What the heck? That's right.
Yeah. I mean, people realize that's what the Rangers did, Dave. The Rangers won the World Series because they just threw a bunch of talent in the pot and saw what happened. It's not like the Rangers were like some like elaborate built team. Like they basically said, well, we got some young players, we got some old players, and we got Bruce Bochy to come out of retirement.
Yeah, which that was a big deal too. I mean, Bochy in the dugout gives you a big edge on most teams, and there really was no set strategy with them. Like you said, they didn't build exclusively through the farm system. They didn't throw a boatload of money at a bunch of guys. They just kind of like a mix and match kind of deal, and it worked out for them, obviously.
Yeah, it's crazy. So now the Phillies, Harper at first base. Nola though got the qualifying offer. Dave, the reports are out there that Nola will probably get somewhere between 140 and 175 on the free agent market. Are you willing to give Aaron Nola between 28 and 34 million a year?
From the Phillies or
yes.
From any team? Philly, no. You did great for us. But yeah, I see you later. And Blake Snell, nice to meet you. Come on in.
Oh, you're already buying into Blake Snell.
Oh yeah, I think he's a tremendous pitcher. I really, that gives him a lot of lefties, I think, as you alluded to earlier. But yeah, he's a much better pitcher than Aaron Nola is, I think.
He led the league in walks though this year, so.
And ERA though, right?
He has a run lower than Aaron Nola does.
Yeah,
ERA.
Yeah.
But he does throw a lot of walks, so it's just.
Well, get that crack pitching coaching staff to work with him, and they'll be fine.
Now, what's interesting is that, like, I just always find you jump to Blake Snell because that's the guy who was reported by Bob Nightingale over the weekend that the Phillies were going to go potentially after Blake Snell. And when you look at Snell, he's probably getting between 170 and 200 million. So he would actually cost potentially more than Aaron Nola. Hey, we're getting to the point where the Phillies are going to have $1 billion invested in about 6 guys. Like,
yeah, that's true. That's the way of the world, unfortunately, though. Yeah.
It's like I'm having trouble wrapping my mind around the idea that Harper, Turner, Schwarber, Castellanos, Real Muto, and Wheeler, the money the Phillies are paying these guys, and then you want to add Blake Snell into the mix. Oh, by the way, Castellanos in right field in his contract of $100 million.
Right. I wouldn't have given some of those guys that big money, but they already did, so it's too late now. Yeah, I mean that's just excuse me, if that's what you want. I mean, some teams, if that's the way you want to Yeah, that's what you have to do in order to compete. Unless you're like the Diamondbacks, who can grow homegrown teams and grow up your prospects and win that way. But yeah, it doesn't always work out, but there's something that you have to try, unfortunately. And I guess John Middleton will have to maybe sell his Stone Harbor house or something. I don't know.
Well, I was going to say, speaking of prospects, the guy we haven't brought up yet, because if Harper's staying at first base, there is potentially a spot in the outfield. So who's going to be the one to convince Mike Trout to tell the Angels to trade him to Philly?
You're really going there. Oh, wow. Mike's not leaving Anaheim. I've said this. I've been saying this for 10 years now. He likes it out there. He likes the team. He's extremely loyal person, and he'll always be loyal to the Angels. I think he doesn't. I don't think he wants to go anywhere else. I really don't. I know that there's a lot of experts out there that say that maybe the Angels should trade him, but if it's up to Mike,
It's just, Dave. It's just so it's so easy though. You just plug him in left field. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
And by the way, you could trade
why not center field?
Castellanos for him. People would be happy about that.
Yeah, I don't know if the Angels would be. Yeah, Philly certainly would. Yep.
Well, I mean, the Angels just hired Ron Washington. Do the Angels even know what they're doing?
I know he's up there in years, but so was Bruce Bochy. So was Dusty Baker. I think he took the Rangers to the playoffs a couple of times.
Well, yeah, but
yeah, the Angels they rarely do anything right anymore. I don't know. They just whatever. And I got to give them credit though. They tried to win this past year. They brought in a bunch of guys and in hopes of trying to salvage the season when Trout got hurt. But the franchise is just cursed for some reason. They just can't figure out their own problems and can't get out of their own way a lot of times.
I mean, they're called the Angels. Maybe they sold their soul to the devil for that one World Series back in 2002. You know,
right. Where's Ohtani going? Do you think?
Oh my goodness, I don't know. I feel like everyone's got a theory with that. The only thing I feel comfortable saying, Dave, is that Ohtani's staying on the West Coast because apparently he's got an affinity for being in the closest time zone to Japan for people.
Oh, really? Okay.
Over there. Because remember, Ichiro was in a similar boat. He wanted to stay on the West Coast for as long as he could because of the fact that, in the Japanese market, a lot of people tune in to watch Major League Baseball games.
Oh, sure. Absolutely. Yeah. And there's a huge Japanese population out there too, like San Francisco, Seattle, those kind of places. Yep. LA.
Yeah. So, I guess the Dodgers could get him, but the problem with the Dodgers is that they already got 20 hitters on that team.
Yeah.
The problem with the Giants is that the Giants would need his pitching more than his hitting, and he's not pitching for another 2 years.
Right.
So, yeah. So it's are the Giants willing to pay him and basically forfeit the idea that he's not pitching for 2 years when we know the Giants desperately need pitching as well?
Yeah, that's true.
So, does he go? Does he do the whole hey, Ichiro used to play in Seattle. Do I go to the Mariners? Does he pull that thing off?
He's definitely not going back to the Angels, right? They're done there.
Who knows? I was listening to I think it was JP Morosi this morning on MLB Network, and he was talking about how the Angels want to bring him back. The question is does Ohtani want to go back?
Yeah, I got you.
And it's hard to know. And this is not. I'm when I say this, I don't mean this to be disingenuous. When a guy doesn't speak great English, it's hard to know some of his intentions. You're going through a translator. How are you supposed to gauge a guy's body language? It's bad enough people don't get Joel Embiid's body language, and he speaks English better than half Major League Baseball does.
Yeah, that's true. Yep, good point.
People think Joel Embiid hates his life half the time, and the guy is apparently the happiest guy in the world.
Mm-hmm.
It's if we can't get Joel Embiid's body language right, how are we going to figure out what Ohtani really wants to do?
Right, that's true. Yep.
Oh my goodness. Well, it's the hot stove. I'm sure that until half the moves get done, me and Dave Weinberg will be talking about it for the next couple of weeks until decisions get made. Dave, appreciate you jumping on. Enjoy the Eagles bye week. You don't have to worry about the Eagles game this Sunday, and you can go something with your grandsons. All right.
Absolutely. I intend to. Thanks for having me as always, Josh. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. I'll talk to you
week.
later. Dave Weinberg joining us here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN. That's a conversation we could have the next couple of days. What are you doing this weekend if there's no Eagles game? Because for a lot of people, you construct your day around the Eagles game time. So there are people who say, I'm going to go run errands. I'm going to go, do something with my family. I'm going to go do things. Well, what are you doing if there's no Eagles game this weekend? How do you, I mean, are you going to go to the movies? Are you going to go, I mean, so many things you can do in South Jersey this time of year. So, I mean, you guys let me know. 609-403-0973. But back to the baseball really quick before we hit the break. It's not that I don't think Ohtani can go back to the Angels. It's just that if I'm reading the tea leaves, if I'm reading and hearing all of the analysts, it just seems like that there's going to be a team that is going to be willing to fork out the money that Ohtani and his representation think he's worth. And I think because Ohtani has not overtly committed to the Angels previously, like Mike Trout has, I think that is a sign that he's at least considering leaving. And in many cases, once you consider doing something, it's a lot easier to actually do it. It's the idea that, if you have two people who are talking about the idea of divorce, that the reality of divorce is more likely to happen. Or, for example, if you're someone who you've thought about having kids, and then the idea of having kids is a lot more digestible for you. It's the idea of once you create the thought in your mind, it's a lot more likely that that thought comes to fruition. And I think that's where Ohtani is. How much has Ohtani thought about leaving the Angels to go somewhere else? And how much has he thought about staying in Anaheim with the Angels? It's a conundrum. It's a tug and pull. And yeah, I'm going to ask about Mike Trout. I think me and everybody else is going to ask about Mike Trout. I guarantee you, if Mike Trout came to the Phillies, that MLB's apparel website would run out of Mike Trout Phillies jerseys within an hour. Mike Trout Philly jerseys would be the largest selling jersey in recent baseball history. I mean, that thing would be off the charts. Like Mike Trout would be, you thought people went nuts for Harper. They would go double nuts for Trout coming to Philadelphia. And that's why I will never ignore that, because I think the Phillies would be more than willing to bring Trout in, because even though Trout has been injured the last couple of years, the reality is that despite those injuries, he has still been incredibly productive as a baseball player on the field. I mean, think about this really quick before we get to the text on the other side at 609-403-0973. Mike Trout, just in the last couple of years, right? You're talking about a guy who has put up amazing numbers in his career. And then even with the injuries, he's still putting up those numbers. Here's the exact number. He played 82 games last year. He still had 18 home runs. He played 119 games the year before. He had 40 home runs. In 2020, in 53 games, he had 17 homers. The dude is a machine. So it doesn't matter that he hasn't played a ton of games over the last few years. The reality is that when he's on the field, he is still a major impact player. All right, we got to get to the break. I got to get your text on the other side. Josh Hennig here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN.
You haven't downloaded the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app? Well, go get it now to follow all the Philly sports teams at 97.3 ESPN.com. Powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City.
97.3 ESPN has teamed up with Seize the Deal for incredible weekly offers from some fantastic local restaurants. Here's this week's big deal.
Get a $50 gift card, good for use at Chico & Sons in Northfield for just $25.
Get this great deal starting Friday at 9 a.m. at seizethedeal.com. Hurry, chances are this deal will sell quickly. For more info on this great deal, go to seizethedeal.com.
SeizeTheDeal.com.
Some days, my active psoriatic arthritis makes it hard to get in the game. Now, the ball is in my court, thanks to treating my skin and joints with Skyrizi, Risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults.
Nothing is everything.
Skyrizi helps with less joint pain, stiffness, swelling, and fatigue. For those who also have plaque psoriasis, 90% clearer skin is possible with just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
With Skyrizi, there's nothing like clearer skin and better movement, and that means everything. Ask your doctor today about Skyrizi and visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKYRIZI to learn more.
With Black Friday savings all month long at the Home Depot, you get all the jingle bells and whistles you could wish for with LG appliances. With America's most reliable line of appliances per independent consumer study, you can take holiday doing to holiday done and always be ready to handle last-minute holiday guests. Save up to $900 on select laundry sets with Black Friday savings, including top brands like LG. At the Home Depot, how doers get more done.
Hey guys, are you afraid of taking off your shirt in public? Don't be embarrassed. Just say, I love Lyle back instead. With male breast reduction, many men develop a fullness in their chest as boys that persists and even worsens as they get older. This condition is called gynecomastia, and with simple liposuction, most cases can be effectively treated. Call 856-MAKEOVER today to schedule your time with Dr. Lyle M. Back. That's 856-MAKEOVER. Or visit ilovelylebach.com.
This week at Target, you'll find different early Black Friday deals. Get fun deals on the latest tech, toys, and video games, plus smart deals on small appliances, floor care, and so much more. At Target, you'll discover different early Black Friday deals each week. And get what you need for the holidays fast with free drive up or score free shipping when you spend $35 or use your red card at Target.com. Get low prices and early Black Friday deals only at Target. Exclusions apply.
Your palace awaits. Caesars Palace Online Casino is now live. Download today and register using code RADIOLAUNCH. New users get a $10 sign-up bonus, a 100% deposit match up to $1,000, and 2,500 reward credits after wagering $25. Must be 21 and physically present in New Jersey, Pennsylvania, or West Virginia. Minimum wagering within 7 days required to unlock bonuses. Full terms and wagering requirements at CaesarsPalaceOnline.com/promos. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. In West Virginia, all games regulated by the West Virginia Lottery. Please play responsibly.
You're feeling pretty good. You just switched to Verizon 5G home internet. It's Verizon. Safe choice, right?
Exactly.
Maybe you won't mind waiting for everyone to log off so your network signal isn't congested.
Oh, I love practicing patience.
Maybe when your kids can't video chat grandma, they'll start writing her letters instead.
Kim would love that.
It'll be great. And maybe the kids won't notice when you cut down their treehouse to get a better signal.
Wait, trees block the 5G signal?
Yep. It's time for better internet. Fast, reliable internet. Switch to Xfinity. Learn more at xfinity.com/Verizon 5G Facts. Now through November 15th, new customers can get started with 200 megabit per second Xfinity internet for just $25 a month for 12 months with no annual contract. You can save up to $300 in your first year over Verizon 5G home internet. Go to xfinity.com/Verizon 5G Facts. Call 1-800-XFINITY or visit a store today. Requires paperless billing and autopay with stored bank account. Restrictions apply. Equipment, taxes, and fees extra. After promo, regular internet rates apply. Actual speeds vary. Compares Xfinity Connect More promotional offer to Verizon 5G home plan.
Save on stuff you really need and stuff you bought for fun. Stuff you always really wanted this holiday at Amazon. Stuff that is discounted if you're naughty or you're nice. Stuff to buy your grandma who drinks her Chardonnay with ice. Stuff to make you big and strong. Stuff we can name in this song. Stuff for lawns and decking halls. Save big on stuff at Amazon. Stop.
At Bet365, we don't do ordinary. We believe that every sport should be epic. Every basket, every game, every point, every play. From the moments that are legendary to the ones that fly under the radar. Whether it's a game-winning goal in the final seconds of overtime or a shot on goal in the first period. Whatever the sport, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. 21 plus only, must be present in New Jersey. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Terms and conditions apply.
Now, more Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
All right, let's get to your guys' thoughts and comments out there. Rapid fire through you guys before we get to Sixers, Celtics at the top of the hour here on 97.3 ESPN. Dan and EHT chimes in and says, for me, Hoskins was like Pat Burrell. Strangely, the only title the Phillies won during the last era was with Pat Burrell on the team. I'm just saying it's odd that Hoskins was a big-time playoff performer, and the Phillies went much further in the postseason with him than without him. I remember what Pat Burrell brought to the table and noticed many similarities with Hoskins. Danny HC, I think it's a very good analogy. I think it's a very fair analogy, and I don't think it's crazy to say that. Hoskins was a guy who was a little one-dimensional, like Pat Burrell, but they both had a serious impact on their lineups. I think it's a very fair thing to say. I don't know if the Phillies can't win a World Series without him, because obviously they didn't win one with him, but I will say that, Hoskins had an intrinsic value in the locker room and in that lineup. Matt and Cape May Courthouse chimes in and says, Snell, no. Nola, yes. Snell might have better numbers on the surface, but he's not much better than Nola. I'm surprised by Hoskins not getting a qualifying offer. I think Dave is discounting the possibility of Trout if Ohtani leaves. The Angels can change things quickly, and Trout perfectly fits with the Phillies right now, but if it doesn't happen this season, it probably won't ever happen. It's Matt from Cape May Courthouse. Listen, I think the reason why Dave is discounting it, because Dave is a guy who's covered Mike Trout for years, and he knows the type of person Trout is. Trout's not going to be the guy who walks in to the Angels front office and be like, I demand a trade. He's not going to be like, an Anthony Davis or one of those NBA players or an NFL player. He's just not his personality. So George in Gallery says, I'll be doing what any sensible, fun-loving person would be doing on a Sunday. I'm watching football, whether the Eagles are on or not. Also, Jeff in Ocean City chimes in and says, I'm landing Sunday in Philadelphia at 11:30. I'm running right to the bar to watch football 1 to 7:30. Well, it's good to know I'm not the only person watching football all day, even if it's not the best football in the world, because the Eagles aren't on. All right, callers number 7. You call 609-573-3776 right now. And you qualify for this year's 99 bottles party. Yes, the final qualifier of the day. This is your opportunity. Keep calling in at 609-573-3776. Only one person can get through. And when you get through, you qualify for this year's 99 bottles party, which you must be present for in order for you to win any of the prizes given away that day. You must be present. Anchorage Tavern, Summers Point, the day before Thanksgiving, where Mike Gill Sports Basketball broadcasting live from 2 to 6 p.m. 609-573-3776. I'm Josh Hennig. This is Game Night. Sixers Celtics coming up next on 97.3 ESPN.
Are you ready for Eagles football?
He's firing, and it is intercepted! Eagles pick it off!
We are too.
And walks in for the touchdown! Beautiful execution. Beautiful.
Listen to the Philadelphia Eagles with Merrill Reese and Mike Quick all season long on 97.3 ESPN, South Jersey's official Eagles station. Brought to you by
Jenkins Plumbing and Heating at jenkinsandsons.com. Piccalilli Inn. Nobody beats the Piccalilli, Route 206 in Chemung. Frank Vincent Windows, Roofing, Siding, and Doors make your home look new again. BMW of Atlantic City. Shop our complete inventory online at bmwatlanticcity.com. Ocean Casino. Get your game on at the Gallery Bar Booking Games in Ocean Casino this football season. For more information, visit theoceanac.com. And First Bank of Sea Isle.
97.3 ESPN FM is your official home in South Jersey for Eagles football. 97.3 ESPN FM.